Hi friends, this is Dr. Jennifer Cardinal. I am a functional medicine practitioner, and the number one thing that I do in my practice is help women naturally balance their hormones. Today I'm going to talk with you about a subject that I've talked about before in past videos, so this may be familiar to you, and that is cortisol. Cortisol dysregulation is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing that I see in my practice and that I help people with. It really is largely a result of our diet and modern day lifestyle. Now, there are three things in particular that you want to make sure you're addressing with any type of cortisol imbalance or dysregulation. Number one is sugar dysregulation or sugar regulation. Number two is the inflammatory response. And number three is mental or emotional stress. All of those three pieces will activate the stress response or the cortisol response. And if there is a prolonged period of time where that stress is being induced on the body, that is actually what can lead to cortisol spikes initially, and then downstream it actually leads to cortisol depletion. Now, there are three key nutrients that actually help support healthy cortisol, or to come in and support the adrenals when they're repairing to address healthy cortisol regulation. That is vitamin C, a good vitamin B complex, and a good multi-mineral complex. Now, additionally, there are many adaptogens and herbs and other nutrients that can be supportive, but those are three safe nutrients that you can incorporate to help support healthy cortisol regulation. And then three things in particular that you want to be careful with are: one, skipping meals or any type of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a great practice, and I actually recommend it to a lot of patients. There's a lot of health benefits from it, and I love it, but you have to be careful with it if you have cortisol imbalances or cortisol dysregulation. Number two is stress reduction techniques. It is absolutely imperative that you are incorporating daily, every day, daily stress reductive techniques in order to address that cortisol dysregulation. I will usually start off with simple deep breathing exercises. The key is consistency, to make sure you're doing it every day. Because look, we're getting stress every day in different forms: social media, the news, sitting in traffic, a fight with our spouse, whatever you can think of, we're getting stress in. So we have to counter those effects with stress reductive techniques, and we need to do those every single day. And then lastly is diets. The standard American diet, or the SAD diet, is inflammatory. Inflammation produces stress in our body, and that will dysregulate our cortisol production. Now, the last thing I want to wrap up with here is that cortisol dysregulation is not only a function of the amount of cortisol we have, but it's also a function of our cortisol rhythm. So our cortisol naturally should peak in the morning, and then it should come down throughout the rest of the day and drop off at night, which will allow you to sleep. If you have trouble sleeping, or if you have trouble with fatigue at different parts of the day, it may not only be because of the amount of cortisol that you have, but it actually can be because the rhythm is dysregulated. So the number one way that you can test for that is by doing an adrenal stress test, and that will actually show you what not only the amount of cortisol that you have, but what your cortisol rhythm looks like. I hope all that was helpful to you. This is Dr. Jennifer. Have a beautiful, blessed day.